welcome on behalf of Pollinating London Together. For those of you that don't know me, I'm John Burt and I'm Chairman of Pollinating London Together. Very happy to see you all here today and very pleased to have a number of you here who've been involved with the audits that Heather and her team have been developing with you, and pleased to say that the Worshipful Company of Gardeners has actually funded that audit program for us. So thanks again for that, Heather. So I want to introduce Dr. Hauke Koch to you. Dr. Hauke is a leading researcher here, specialising in pollinators and the importance of pollinators. We all know here together to learn more about the importance of pollinators. So we're very pleased to have Hauke here and to support the work that we do in Pollinating London Together. And thanks for hosting today, and thanks to Q.
Hi, so welcome. I'm Hauke Koch. As from the introduction, I'm a research leader here at Q working on pollinators, and been here for about 6 years now at Q. Have a background in research of pollinator ecology. I study the diseases of pollinators a lot, but here at Q we're really fundamentally interested in the role of plants for people and ecosystems, and in my case the role of plants for bees. So of course we know that bees visit flowers, but they don't just visit them to pollinate them. They obviously have their own interest in doing so. They collect nectar and pollen. And it's quite dramatic the way we have changed as humans the landscape in the UK. It just really came to my realization that how dramatic the change in our landscape really has been. So 97% of semi-natural grasslands in the UK have disappeared, have been converted into cities, into improved grassland with very low floral diversity, into other agricultural fields. And I think that's the major issue that pollinators face today, that they've lost a lot of the plant abundance and diversity that they need to feed on. So at Q we're trying to better understand what are the key floral resources for bees, to not just honeybees but wild pollinators also in general, to be healthy, to be nutritionally healthy, so to get all the nutrients they need, but also to maybe be able to defend themselves against their own diseases, which is what I'm looking at for somewhat antimicrobial medicinal compounds that bees might find in natural plants.
Pollinating London Together is concerned with the decline in pollinators, and so what we're trying to do is to support people to encourage pollinators. What we need to do for this is to make sure that there's enough forage in the planting, and that there are places for the bees to nest. And so last summer and this summer, so this summer is 21, we've undertaken a number of audits, and really they're audits of what the planting of various different green spaces is like, whether the plants are the type of plants that will provide forage for bees. So this particular plant here, it's very open and the bees can get into it quite easily, and we're not just talking about honeybees here. What we're really concerned with is the whole range of bees, the whole range of pollinators, bumblebees, hoverflies, all sorts of different types of pollinators. At each of the gardens we try and encourage a bee champion, and the role of the bee champion is to look out for the types of planting, to take note of what's going on, and also to contribute to the citizen science project that we have underway. And the citizen science project is about recording pollinators on a particular plant for about 10 minutes, and then all of that data goes through an app into a central database, which is held by the Centre for Ecology and Hydrology.
As an introduction, Richard McCraw and David Arkin, but we represent Goldsmith's Garden. It's a garden in the centre of London, quite a historical garden, and we're quite involved now with the pollinating of bees, and we're really enjoying the interaction with and involvement with Pollinating London.
I'm Richard McCraw, I'm the hall keeper at the Goldsmiths Company. We've, with the full backing of the House Committee, have been doing this bee audit for 2 years now. The second audit was a couple of months ago. Luckily it was better than our first audit, which proves that the work that David's been doing and the advice we've had from Pollinating London, which plants are best, is working. So that's good. We have a bee house now in the garden, so we're looking forward to seeing how that develops over the next few years.
Hi, I'm Paul Kennedy. I'm the rector at St Vidas alias Foster, a church within the City of London, and this is my wife Paula, and together we live at the church site. The church has a goal to be an oasis within the heart of the city, and partly that's our architecture, but also it is about being able to offer a courtyard and some flowers. There's an acer tree, a place for reflection and quiet amongst the bustle and busyness of the city. We have within our parish the wax chandlers and the goldsmiths, who are both involved with this project, Pollinating London Together. And so we've looked at what we can plant to encourage pollinators into the courtyard, and we have a roof terrace as well, which is our own rather than a shared space, so we can encourage there because there's more sunlight. Paul has been more involved in what we're actually planting. We both have seen the audit. I was there when the audit took place, but you're planting out more.
Yeah. So the garden that we've got is really lovely. It's like a roof terrace, but it was very sterile. You didn't hardly ever see any bees or flies or even birds in the area. So we were really grateful for the pollinator audit because it gave us some really good advice about things that we could plant to draw in bees and other pollinators. And one of the big successes we've had is lavender. That's gone down really well, and that's been really busy this summer. I've noticed a massive difference. We're planting out some herbs and different types of herbs that will attract pollinators, and I've also planted a clematis that was recommended to us in the audit. We're about to buy a bee hotel, I think, so yep. That will add to the diversity, I'm hoping, of the roof space. So anything that brings more diversity in nature to the City of London, I think is really worth championing and making sure is a big success.
Hello, I'm Garth Manger and I'm the clerk to the Worshipful Company of Plaisterers. We're very lucky that we have a garden right in the middle of London that we maintain for the City of London. And the audit came around earlier this year and did a full audit of the garden, which has been really useful because it's enabled me to be able to look at the garden and to try and work out what we do to improve. I think we did rather well in our audit, but there's always room for improvement, and we'll try and do that over the next year or so and to try and make it better so that maybe in the next audit we do even better. So we found the audit incredibly useful for us because it will allow us to improve what we're doing over the next year and therefore make a positive impact on pollinating London, on pollinating the UK more than anything, but certainly starting in London.
My name's Paul Burnage. I work at Drapers Hall as the gardener. I found the Pollinating London Together audit at Drapers Courtyard Garden really helpful and informative. I never realised there are so many different types of native bees. We've enjoyed reviewing the audit report, which gave us lots of suggestions on how we could improve our habitat for pollinators. As the audit is score-based, it gives you a real incentive to make improvements. We were particularly interested in reviewing our flowers and how we could get the maximum amount of pollen and nectar produced, particularly throughout the seasons. I would really recommend visiting the Pollinating London Together website. It gives really good tips on the variety of plants you can use to make your displays productive for pollinators. And we also get the added benefit of enjoying the visual impact of all these displays throughout the City of London.
Good. Well, thanks everybody for joining us this morning. I hope you've enjoyed the brief tour of Kew, and thanks Hauke for a splendid job that you've done again with your enthusiasm, your passion for the work that you do. We've all learned a lot from you this morning, haven't we? And we're very grateful for that, and very grateful for your continued support of Pollinating London Together. Thanks very much for that.